The stage lights glowed golden across the velvet backdrop of the Tonight Now studio. Cameras rolled smoothly along their tracks, catching the elegant set, the polished desk, and the familiar nervous energy that always filled the room before a major live interview. In the center of it all sat Tara Wylde, global pop icon, trendsetter, and lightning rod for headlines. She looked calm at first glance, her expression composed, her posture sharp. But anyone who knew her could sense the tension behind that calm. It was the same look she gave before every interview that threatened to dig too deep. Across from her sat Grant Mercer, the host known for his charming smile and razor-edged questions. His ratings soared on the strength of unpredictable moments, the kind that trended within minutes of airing. And tonight he had that gleam in his eye, the one that meant he was going for something big. The countdown echoed through the studio. 3, 2, 1. We're live. Grant leaned forward. Welcome back to Tonight Now, everyone. With us tonight, the woman who's redefining pop music, Tara Wylde. Applause thundered, echoing from the live audience. Tara smiled and waved, her practiced grin showing just the right mix of warmth and mystery. Grant, she said with her usual confidence, thanks for having me. It's been a crazy year. Oh, we know, he said, chuckling. You've broken records, toured 4 continents, and dropped one of the biggest albums of the decade. But that's not all people are talking about, is it? The audience quieted. Tara's smile tightened slightly. She knew where this was heading. The rumors, the late-night clips, the constant noise online. I guess people like to talk, she replied evenly. True, Grant said. But lately they've been talking about something else, that your new single, Glass Hearts, isn't just a breakup anthem. Some say it's a direct shot at someone you used to be close with. The question landed like a small explosion. Tara's eyes flickered. She gave a soft laugh, low and deliberate. Grant, if I wanted to write songs about one person, I'd name them in the lyrics. My music's not about gossip. It's about emotion. Emotion, he repeated, leaning in. That's good. Because your fans noticed, right after you released Glass Hearts, a certain actor suddenly deleted every photo of you two together. Coincidence? A few laughs rippled through the audience. Grant smiled wider, feeding off the tension. Tara's jaw flexed almost imperceptibly. Coincidence, she said again, her voice firmer this time. The air felt heavier now. The camera zoomed slightly closer. Tara's hands, clasped tightly in her lap, betrayed the calm her voice tried to hold. Grant pressed on. You've always been honest with your fans, Tara. They love that about you. So if Glass Hearts came from a real place, from pain, don't you think they deserve to know who broke it? There it was, the spark that lit the fuse. Tara leaned back slightly, her gaze fixed on him. I think what my fans deserve, she said slowly, is art that means something, not gossip dressed as curiosity. Grant tilted his head, smiling like he'd been waiting for that exact line. Fair enough. But don't you think keeping secrets is what keeps these rumors alive? The words hung in the air. The crowd murmured. The tension had become its own living thing. Electric, uncomfortable, irresistible. Tara exhaled, the kind of breath that sounds like a warning. Grant, she said, her tone clipped now. I agreed to come here to talk about my music, not to defend my personal life for entertainment. Grant nodded, pretending to retreat, but then added softly. But they're one and the same for you, aren't they? The heartbreak sells the songs. A visible shiver went through the audience. Even the camera operators froze for a second. Tara's eyes widened slightly, not from surprise, but disbelief. The moment stretched long enough for the lights to hum in the silence, then she smiled, in a small, cold, perfect smile. If that's what you think, maybe you should try writing one yourself. The crowd gasped. Grant's smirk faltered just enough for the viewers to catch it, and for a fleeting second, Tara almost laughed. Almost. But then the producer's voice echoed faintly from behind the camera. Keep going, this is gold. That did it. Tara looked toward the audience, then at the cameras, all those unblinking eyes waiting for her reaction, her breakdown, her viral clip. She pushed her chair back slowly, the sound sharp against the stage floor. Sometimes, she said, her voice low and clear, respect is more important than ratings. And with that, she stood, adjusted her mic pack, and began to walk off the set. Grant tried to recover, calling out, Tara, come on, we're just talking. But she didn't turn back. The studio went still as her heels clicked across the floor. Steady, defiant, final. The screen behind her flashed with the show's logo, but nobody was looking at it. Everyone's eyes were on her. The audience wasn't sure whether to clap or stay silent, and for the first time that night, Grant Mercer had no words. The backstage hallway swallowed Tara's footsteps. The roar of the studio crowd faded behind the heavy soundproof door, replaced by the low hum of cables, muffled crew voices, and the faint buzz of neon exit signs. A stagehand, eyes wide, stepped back to give her room. No one stopped her. Everyone sensed that one wrong word might set off another spark. Tara's hands trembled slightly as she unclipped the mic pack from her belt and handed it to a stunned audio tech. "Thank you," she said quietly, then pushed through the corridor toward her dressing room. Inside, the mirror bulbs glowed against a row of half-empty water bottles. She dropped into the chair, staring at her reflection. The woman in the mirror didn't look angry anymore, just tired. From the hallway came the sound of hurried footsteps. Lena, her manager, burst in. "Tara, what happened?" "The control room's going crazy. They're still rolling the segment." Tara looked up. "He ambushed me, Lena. He promised we'd talk about the tour. Instead, he wanted a spectacle." Lena shut the door, lowering her voice. "I know, but walking out on live TV? That's going to be everywhere in 5 minutes." Tara laughed under her breath. "Good. Let them talk about that instead of inventing lies about my songs." Lena sighed, pulling out her phone. Notifications were already stacking on the lock screen. Hashtags, mentions, clips being shared in real time. "They've already clipped the walk-off. It's trending." "Of course it is," Tara muttered. She leaned back, pressing her palms to her eyes. "I'm so tired of pretending that humiliation is entertainment." A soft knock sounded. Maya, the show's producer, stepped in hesitantly. "Tara, I just wanted to check if you're okay." Tara didn't answer right away. Then quietly, "Would you have stopped him?" Maya looked down. "I should have. He went off script. I didn't expect him to push that far." "You expected him to push," Tara corrected, her tone cool. "Just not far enough to make you uncomfortable." The producer's silence said everything. She nodded once and left, closing the door gently behind her. For a long moment, neither Tara nor Lena spoke. Then Lena's phone buzzed again, this time a call. She stepped aside to answer. Tara caught fragments. "No comment yet. We'll issue a statement." "Yes, she's fine." Tara's reflection met her own eyes again. The makeup that looked perfect under studio lights now seemed like armor after battle, cracked at the edges. She picked up her phone from the vanity, opened her socials, and watched the feed explode. Clips of her standing, the sound of her chair scraping, the frozen look on Grant's face, thousands of people looping the same few seconds. Some applauded her, others mocked her. One comment caught her eye. "Finally, someone stands up for themselves on live TV." Another read, "Unprofessional much?" "It's just a question." She set the phone face down. "They'll turn it into whatever story fits them," she said softly. Lena returned. "We should leave quietly through the side door. Paparazzi are already outside." Tara nodded and stood. As they stepped into the hallway again, the show's staff avoided eye contact. Even the security guard who held the door open looked awkwardly at the floor. Outside, the night air was cold and sharp. Flashbulbs popped the second she emerged. "Tara, why did you walk out?" Was Grant's question too personal? "Do you regret it?" She didn't answer. She kept walking toward the waiting black SUV. The cameras reflected in her sunglasses like small, relentless stars. Once inside, she exhaled deeply. "I hate that this will be tomorrow's headline." Lena scrolled through her phone. "You know the game. They'll slice the clip down to 10 seconds. People will take sides. Then next week it'll be someone else." "Except it's always me lately," Tara said. Her voice wasn't angry anymore, just weary. The car moved through the city streets, neon lights flashing across her face. For a moment, she thought about calling her brother, the only person who still treated her like she wasn't a headline. Instead, she leaned her head against the window and whispered, "I just wanted to sing." Back at the studio, chaos brewed. Grant Mercer sat in his chair while producers hovered around him. "What was that?" One hissed. "She's gone, Grant. We're trending for all the wrong reasons." Grant adjusted his tie, forcing a grin. There's no wrong kind of trending. But even he felt the tremor beneath the words. He'd pushed too far, maybe for the first time. The silence that filled the set after Tara's exit hadn't been victory. It had been something colder. In another part of the building, an intern replayed the footage for editing. As Tara's final words echoed, "Respect is more important than ratings," even he paused. The look in her eyes wasn't scripted. By the time Tara reached her hotel, the world had already decided what had happened. Talk show analysts debated whether she'd lost her cool. Fans flooded her comments with support. Hashtags multiplied. Respect for Tara. Grant crossed the line. Glassheart's truth. Lena looked up from her laptop. "Your PR team's drafting a calm statement. I can read it if you want." Tara shook her head. "Not tonight." She pulled the curtain open, staring out over the city lights. "Let them say what they want. The truth will sound louder if I stay quiet." And yet, as her reflection merged with the skyline, she wondered what silence would cost her this time. Morning came with light too bright and headlines too loud. Every entertainment site, talk show recap, and gossip feed carried the same frozen image. Tara Wylde standing, mid-stride, chin lifted, eyes blazing beneath the studio lights. Beneath it, the captions varied. Tara snaps. Singer walks out live. I respect her rage. The noise was deafening. Tara sat at the small kitchen table of her hotel suite, robe wrapped loosely, hair still damp from a rushed shower. The smell of black coffee filled the room, but she hadn't touched it. Her phone kept buzzing across the marble top. Texts, emails, calls, requests for comment. Lena paced nearby, phone to her ear. "No, she's not doing a statement yet." "Yes, I know the sponsors are asking." I said not yet. She ended the call and exhaled. "It's a storm out there. You're trending #1 in 12 countries. Tara gave a tired half smile. "Guess I should thank him for the publicity." Lena frowned. "They're calling it a meltdown. Even the networks are replaying it like it's breaking news." Tara rubbed her temples. "All I did was walk away from a question." "Exactly," Lena said. "But they'll frame it as drama." "They always do. People don't click on composure." She switched on the TV. Every channel carried some version of the clip. Analysts dissecting body language, former hosts debating journalistic ethics, fans defending or condemning. On one panel, a headline scrolled, "Was Tara Wylde out of line?" Tara watched in silence until the sound blurred. Then she reached for the remote and switched it off. "I've spent half my life being polite," she said quietly. "Maybe that's the problem." Lena pulled up a chair. "Then what's next? You can stay silent, but if you don't give your side, everyone else will tell it for you." Tara looked out the window. The city pulsed below, endless and indifferent. "I don't want another press statement. I want to speak for myself, once, properly." "Interview?" "Not that kind," Tara said. "Something real. My own words, my own space." Before Lena could respond, Tara's phone buzzed again. This time a message from Rena, a documentary filmmaker who'd once toured with her. It read, "Saw the clip. If you ever want to tell your story your way, I've got cameras and no agenda." Tara read it twice, then looked up. Maybe that's it. At the same time, across town, Grant Mercer walked through the quiet corridors of his network headquarters. The previous night had turned him into the most watched man on television, for all the wrong reasons. His producer, Maya, waited by his dressing room door, tablet in hand. "The network's furious. Half the comments are calling you out for ambushing her." Grant forced a laugh that didn't land. "And the other half?" "Calling her dramatic," Maya said. "But it doesn't matter. They've already scheduled a review meeting. They're asking if you want to apologize on air tonight." "Apologize?" he repeated. "For doing my job?" "Grant," she began, but he cut her off. She walked out. "I didn't tell her to. People want authenticity. Well, that's what they got." He turned toward the mirror, adjusting his tie. But even he couldn't ignore the faint shake in his hand. The face staring back looked tired, older. He'd won the clip, but maybe lost something bigger. Back in her hotel, Tara opened her laptop. Messages from friends, collaborators, even strangers filled her inbox. One caught her eye. It was from Zane, her former bandmate, the one everyone thought Glass Hearts was about. The subject line read simply, "I saw the show." "Proud of you." She stared at it for a long time before replying, "Thanks. Guess we both know the truth doesn't fit in a headline." Minutes later, another buzz. This time Lena again. "The network's issuing their own statement. They're calling it a miscommunication. Grant might apologize live tonight." Tara sighed. Apologies for ratings, Lena hesitated. Do you want to go on record before he does? Tara shook her head. No. Let's see if he means it first. By evening, the clip had crossed 50 million views. Late-night hosts turned it into punchlines. Fans filled social media with edits overlaying her walkout to empowering music. Respect for Tara trended higher than the show's own hashtag. Tara scrolled once, then stopped. You know what the strangest part is? She said. Half of them don't even know why I walked out. They just like the idea of rebellion. Lena smiled faintly. Maybe that's not so bad. You reminded people they don't have to smile through everything. Tara considered that. Maybe. But I also reminded the industry I'm not easy to control. They don't like that. That night, as she prepared for bed, she saw a new notification. Grant Mercer, Live Tonight, My Side of the Story. She stared at the title for a long second, then set her phone down. Here we go again, she murmured. Outside, the city's lights flickered like camera flashes in the distance. Inside, she finally let herself breathe. The war of words could wait until morning. The network's headquarters glowed like a glass fortress against the dusk. Inside Studio 6, crew members moved in rehearsed silence, adjusting lights and teleprompters. The usual buzz before a live broadcast felt heavier tonight. Expectant, cautious. At the desk sat Grant Mercer, the host who had built his reputation on control. Yet, as the clock neared airtime, control felt like sand slipping through his fingers. Maya, his producer, leaned over his shoulder. You don't have to make it a full apology, she said softly. Just own what happened. People respond to honesty. Grant forced a nod. Honesty, he repeated as if trying out the word for the first time. He glanced at the cue cards on his desk. Each line was careful, lawyer-checked, safe. But nothing about the last 24 hours had felt safe. The floor manager counted down. 3, 2, 1. The theme music rolled bright and hollow. Grant smiled for the camera. Good evening, everyone. Before we begin tonight's show, I want to address what happened here last night. Images of Tara walking out flashed briefly on screen, her back to the lights, his own stunned face frozen behind her. Grant continued, voice steady. Our conversation with Tara Wylde didn't end the way anyone expected. My intention was never to make her uncomfortable. I asked questions, too many maybe, and she chose to leave. I respect that. The words landed somewhere between sincerity and performance. He paused, exhaled. In this job, we chase truth. Sometimes we forget that truth needs space to breathe. To Tara, if you're watching, I hope we can talk again one day. Off camera, the camera cut to commercial. Silence filled the studio. Maya let out a long breath. That's as close to human as you've sounded in years, she said quietly. Grant didn't answer. He just stared at the blank monitor where Tara's image had disappeared. Across town, Tara watched from her hotel couch. The room was dim, a single lamp casting gold over half-finished tea. She'd told herself she wouldn't watch, but curiosity had won. When Grant said, I respect that, she tilted her head slightly. It wasn't quite an apology, but it wasn't deflection either. Somewhere in between. Awkward. Imperfect, maybe genuine. Lena muted the TV. He's doing damage control, she said. Maybe, Tara replied. But at least he said something. Her phone buzzed. Messages poured in again. Friends congratulating her, fans cheering the subtle victory. Yet none of it made her feel lighter. What now? Lena asked. Tara thought for a moment. Now I take back the narrative. How? She turned the screen toward Lena, showing Rena's message from earlier. That documentary. We start filming tomorrow. The next morning, Rena's crew set up cameras in a quiet rehearsal space, a high-ceilinged loft filled with instruments and sunlight. No talk show desks, no applause signs, just open air and truth. Rena adjusted her camera and smiled. You sure you're ready? Once we roll, no filters, Tara nodded. That's the point. The red light blinked on. Rena's voice came from behind the lens. Why did you walk out? Tara hesitated, only a heartbeat. Because I was tired of letting other people frame my silence as guilt. The word surprised even her. She continued, slower now, finding rhythm. I've spent years trying to prove I'm kind enough, patient enough, grateful enough. But the moment I say no, it becomes rebellion. Maybe that's fine. Maybe rebellion is the only language people hear. Rena zoomed closer. Do you regret leaving? Tara looked straight into the lens. No, for once I didn't play the part they wrote for me. Outside, the city moved as usual, cars, horns, headlines. Inside the loft, time felt suspended. After an hour, Rena lowered the camera. That's real. Don't lose that, Tara smiled faintly. I don't think I could if I tried. Meanwhile, in the network boardroom, executives replayed the previous night's broadcast. The apology helped, one said. Viewership's up 12%. Another replied, so we spin it into a reunion special? Get them both back on the couch? Maya closed her laptop sharply. She won't come back. Not for a stunt. The executives exchanged knowing looks. Everyone comes back for the right story. But Maya wasn't convinced. She'd seen the look in Tara's eyes as she walked off. That wasn't a publicity move. That was a person reclaiming her dignity. Later that evening, Tara posted a single message on her social feed. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness. It's clarity. Within minutes, the post exploded. Millions of likes, countless retweets, and a flood of comments. Some celebrated her strength. Others dissected every word. But for the first time in a long while, the words were hers alone. In the quiet that followed, Tara sat by the window, guitar resting across her knees. A melody she hadn't planned began to form. Soft, raw, unguarded. Lena listened from across the room. New song? Tara smiled without looking up. Maybe. Or maybe it's just breathing out. That night, for the first time since the walkout, she slept without the weight of the cameras. Outside, headlines still churned, talk shows still speculated, but Tara Wylde finally felt something close to peace. Tomorrow, the noise would start again. But now she knew she didn't have to answer to it. The day of the documentary release arrived like a quiet storm. Streaming platforms lit up with the trailer. Tara Wylde, unfiltered. Fans, critics, and casual viewers alike queued to witness the story behind the viral walkout. Tara sat in the editing suite, headphones on, fingers tapping lightly on the console. Each cut of her footage felt personal, raw and unpolished. No flashy transitions, no forced reactions, just truth laid bare. Rena, the director, leaned over her shoulder. This is it. Your story, your voice, every clip you wanted. Tara nodded. Good. I want them to feel it, not just watch it. The documentary began with the familiar footage of the Tonight Now studio. The moment Tara stood, the camera captured every inch of tension, every subtle reaction, every heartbeat of uncertainty. But then, it shifted. Behind-the-scenes clips, her private reflections, and the conversations with Lena and her team gave context to the viral moment. Viewers saw her frustration not as defiance, but as courage. They saw the emotional labor behind the performance, the invisible weight of being misrepresented for ratings. When the segment about her interview aired, Tara watched live metrics climb. Comments flooded in. Finally, someone told it like it really was. This is empowering. She's human. I've never understood the pressure celebrities face until now. For the first time in months, Tara didn't scroll endlessly. She sat back and let it happen. Grant Mercer, watching the documentary at home, felt a pang he hadn't anticipated. He'd expected defensive narratives, a spin, maybe even anger. Instead, Tara's words carried clarity, strength, and reflection. He leaned back in his chair. She's stronger than I thought, he murmured. Across the world, fans held watch parties. Social media exploded with praise, debates, and personal reflections inspired by Tara's honesty. Hashtags like #ChanTaraUnfiltered, Respect for Tara, and Walk Out for Truth trended globally. Tara's team monitored every mention but didn't intervene. For once, they weren't chasing virality. They were letting authenticity do the work. Later that evening, Tara performed an intimate acoustic set for a small audience of friends, collaborators, and loyal fans. No cameras, no crew, just people and music. Her fingers traced the frets, and the first notes of a song called Breathing Out filled the room. This one's about the night that changed everything, she said softly. About walking away from noise, finding your own voice and standing by it. The melody was simple but gripping. Each chord, each word carried weight. Tears glimmered in a few eyes, smiles in others. The energy was raw, human, unfiltered, the kind of connection that only music could make possible. By the end of the night, Tara felt lighter than she had in years. Lena approached her quietly. "You did it. They finally see the real you." Tara smiled. "They saw me. Not the story they wanted, not the headlines. Me." Rena joined them. "And this is only the beginning. People will remember this night, this documentary. They'll finally understand the person behind the fame." Tara nodded. "I just want to make music and live my life. If the world watches, fine. If not, that's fine too." The next morning, reviews poured in. Critics called the documentary honest, brave, a masterclass in reclaiming narrative. Fans flooded social media with clips of her reflections, her walkout, and her acoustic performance. Tara didn't chase the attention this time. She didn't post reactions, reply to every comment, or give endless interviews. She let the work speak. Her phone buzzed with a single notification. A simple message from Grant Mercer. "You were right. Respect matters. Thank you for showing me that." Tara read it, smiled faintly, and put the phone down. Weeks later, she stood on the balcony of her studio loft, guitar in hand, city lights sprawling below. The world was still loud, still chaotic, but she felt a quiet victory. She had walked out. She had claimed her narrative. She had turned what could have been a humiliating moment into a story of strength and authenticity. And for the first time, Tara Wylde wasn't defined by a viral clip, a heated confrontation, or a headline. She was defined by herself. The wind lifted softly through the open window, carrying the faint sounds of the city below. Tara strummed a chord, closed her eyes, and let it all breathe. This was the sound of freedom. The story had ended, but her life, her music, her truth, her choices was just beginning.